Hi all. So we have an author of Bricks, Cement and Dotcom, Mr. Deep Malhotra with us today. A very intriguing and intelligent personality. Hi Deep, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. So Deep, we really want to know more about you. If you could just tell your readers about yourself, please.
Sure. It's about myself. I've been in various industries. I started off pretty early. When I was 16 years old, I started off as a graphic designer, and from there I got into building up my own .com, and then moved into companies, setting up companies like Google, MySpace in India. After that, after a decade or more than a decade, I got into real estate. So I got into real estate development with a combination of changing that into startup incubation. So the journey of my life has been a little bit of a roller coaster as an entrepreneur, as an employee. So I've been started off as a creative person and then got into entrepreneurship, and I would want to end it or retire myself as making movies. So that's what my
Oh,
personality
that's
or my
that's just so
point of
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. And your book, Bricks, Cement and .com, what is it all about?
So I guess that's what I have tried to basically capture in this entire book. Typically, when I came across building my business, or also when I was an employee, a lot of times I used to read about entrepreneurs talking about their success stories and per se. No one ever I didn't come across any stories wherein they said that it's been a dark journey or it's been something very difficult. So what I thought is something like this would be interesting for typically people who want to get into entrepreneurship, or typically are employees and want to get into entrepreneurship. They think it's a rosy picture, and let's get into it and you'll be your own boss, and 6 months down the line you realize that you've got to do everything, that you took things for granted. So my book is about my journey with the combination, a little bit of a story around which I start in every chapter, then I take it to the learnings, and then I end it with the postscripts of what I have understood, or a kind of an interesting scenario that happened in my life. So it's patterned that way, and it talks about various industries from media, real estate, technology. So it becomes really interesting for anyone who wants to get into any of these industries or per se want to get into entrepreneurship.
Okay, that's nice. So, how long does it really take for you to write a book?
Because it took me really less of a time. Because the last lockdown, I guess I started somewhere in April, and in July. So I don't think so that's how quickly you can write a book. It's just that maybe I had the material for the first book, which was very much there. And when we started off the lockdown last year, and we're still in a lockdown now, it was just that I had too much time at my hand. And I'm typically a guy who likes to do a couple of things, juggle around with a couple of things together. So for me, this was like, how do I invest my time in a very productive way? And I said, let me start writing article about entrepreneurship, or about typically the COVID scenario and how we're going to deal with it. And I ended up basically writing more, and
Wow.
that turned out well. So I don't think so that's a great benchmark. Typically it takes longer. My second book I've started now, so I know it's difficult. You gotta keep on evolving around it. But the first one took really quick. Maybe I got that time, or I was in that frame to write it.
So, where did you get all the information or ideas for the book?
Life experiences. You should check the book out. It has many real life experiences and what I've learned from it. So the structure around that has been, it starts off with the story in a chapter. Typically me on a table negotiating a deal, or me talking to one of the senior guy or a politician or whatever, and you getting out of that gist of that story into learnings, and those learnings that I've learned around that, through that situation, or maybe before. And it ends up with an interesting postscript, So the structure is something which you typically don't look at in books. Typically you have books wherein it talks about learnings per se more. This has a combination of a story and it's a very candid way of approaching entrepreneurship. It's something wherein it's real life scenarios, so you can't actually say that, oh great, I'm just trying to be like
Right.
someone which I'm not. It's basically through that. So real life experience and the combination of the experience that I've had in the industry, in combination, it's brought it into a book.
Right. So what do you like to do when you're not writing then?
That's an interesting thing. I mean, I love to make short movies. Typically, when I started off in the creative line as a graphic designer, I always wanted to become a short movie or a movie director. So what I have done in the lockdown previously also is made a very short movie, which I put it up on film festivals, and that got actually a couple of awards internationally. So that is what I mean, if you ask me, for me in the book, I typically talk about that passion isn't everything. Persistence is something which drives you to the success. That's one of the reasons I've just paused onto my passion, so that I can do it out of the real love of it, and not making money out of it. So yeah, making movies, watching interesting movies is something which I love to do.
That's amazing. So is there anything that you want to say to your readers?
I guess besides buy the book, I mean those guys who haven't and recommend it. And I think somewhere down the line we need to accept the reality. We need to work around it. A lot of people have been coming across as they're facing a lot of that, low period. They're trying to figure out how to get through it. I guess one way of it is to put up your hand and say that, I'm vulnerable. Situation is bad. I'm facing this problem, and sit, kind of find a solution around it. You got to be disciplined in this scenario. So, that's something which I would say people should get out of this book. And yeah, one thing which I keep talking about in the book is that passion isn't everything. I mean, persistence is where will take you to success with the combination of passion. So, in totality, that is what I would like people to get. And there are many other factors in the book which I can put it in the a small interview. But yeah, this is what I can get in the nutshell.
Great. So everyone, brickcement.com is now available for orders. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, Flipkart, and please buy your copy and leave a review wherever possible you can on Amazon or Kindle, because that is what the authors look for the most, that there's a review for them. And thank you so much, Deep, for your time. I really appreciate that we could do this in this pandemic where things are really running up and down. So thank you so much for your time.
Right.
And I really wish you all the very best for your book. I'm sure it's going to do wonders.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.
Stay safe.